So my name is Randall Beatley, and this is our Raw recap for the FASTLANE predictions here. I have my friend Cody and my brother James with me.
Hello, world.
Hi.
So, first off, what were your guys' thoughts on Raw that we just got done watching?
Horrible. Can I go home now? Just kidding. For a go-home show, I was not thoroughly impressed with it. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, same here. I really felt that most of the show was trying to fire Mick Foley, which we all know was going to happen. I don't know why they spent so much on that aspect. But other than that, storylines really didn't develop at all, and it just felt like a normal Raw to me. Guess we can just go into our predictions for each of these matches. We'll start with the tag team match with Enzo and Cass versus the Club for the tag team championship. Who do you guys think are going to win? Let's start with James.
I think Gallows and Anderson will retain. I think Enzo and Cass has lost the appeal that they once had when they first came up, and I don't think they are over with the crowd anymore. It's kind of boring, the same stuff. Honestly, I feel like Cass is being held down. He could be so much more as an independent or singles competitor, and Enzo's kind of holding him down. So I think the Club will retain.
All right, Cody, how do you feel on this match?
So I do agree on the aspect of that Gallows and Anderson will retain. I just feel that Raw's tag team division is severely weak. I feel that, and I don't want to get too much into, brand superiority or which brand is doing better in what areas, but whereas SmackDown, their division kind of seemed like it was on the back burner for a little bit, and then all of a sudden kind of picked up steam again. At Elimination Chamber, how they kind of implemented all 6 tag teams into there, it kind of made it a little bit more useful, a little bit rejuvenated in a way. Raw's tag team division is just broken. You got really 2 tag teams that are constantly fighting and going for the gold with Enzo and Cass and the Club. Sheamus and Cesaro are obviously not, they are together, but they're not really. And the New Day is just being a joke. They're no longer really looking as if they're once that dominant tag team that we had. So if I was Raw, I'd be a little concerned with the tag team division for sure. I think maybe they need somebody pretty big to debut soon, maybe like the Revival, something like that. But yeah, I fully expect Gallows and Anderson to walk out of Milwaukee as tag team champions.
All right, yeah, I agree with basically everything you just said. I feel Raw needs a sort of like what SmackDown did with, because honestly we don't know all the tag teams, and really Raw has 4 altogether. Anyway,
like
so
that, yeah.
So there's not much to showcase, and so I think first off, the whole making the New Day sort of forced them to keep the titles as long as they did. To me, it made the titles a joke. And then once the New Day lost it, completely just fell out of the picture, sort of just a gimmick team, really not meant to compete. And Cesaro and Sheamus sort of, to me, the pairing, when they first came together, it was like, oh, okay, so they were forced together, you see how this works, and it worked for a little bit, and to me, I just don't feel it anymore. So I think they do need a tag team to debut whoever it is from NXT or wherever else they can find like good tag teams. Maybe if they want to look around the indie circuit, but
Matt Hardy.
So we'll move from that match and we'll move to the match that was just made tonight by Stephanie McMahon, Sasha Banks versus Nia Jax.
Can we skip over that match?
I see this match again. I see this match being on the pre-show. I don't see it being a main card match, and it really makes me sad with how much Sasha has fallen since her injury, or the storyline injury she had. Personally, I don't like the push Nia's given. I don't think she's ready for it. But what do you guys think about this?
Have no fear, WrestleMania is near, is the status quo that I'm going to go with. Because, this is where I hate the fact that both brands had a pay-per-view before Mania. I feel like that the two pay-per-views before Mania, Rumble, and then whatever pay-per-view mid to late February should be brand split. Because it just gives this drastic letdown feeling of, I really don't expect much out of this pay-per-view, so why are we even really creating storylines 4 weeks out of Mania? But I understand that writing TV for 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks is a lot easier than doing it for 4 to 5 to 6 weeks. It's understandable.
Yeah.
I can understand that aspect of it, and you don't really, if you look at SmackDown's, once again, I hate doing this, having to go back and forth, but if you look at SmackDown storylines, they could build a storyline in 2 weeks and makes you entertained. Like, there's only 2 weeks between Rumble and Elimination Chamber and the SmackDown right after Royal Rumble. A week and a half out of Elimination Chamber, I was already hooked and ready to watch the Chamber pay-per-view.
Yeah.
But doesn't matter to me whoever wins this match. Obviously, I'm a Sasha fan. I want her to win. But seeing how the booking Nia Jax right now, I fully expect her to win this match. But like I said, WrestleMania is near, so I do still have the faith and believe that it will be a fatal four-way for the women's title at Mania.
All right, and James, we'll get to your opinion, but I'm going to follow that real quick. With that being a fatal four-way, which a lot of rumors and I myself think that's how it's going to go, does that mean we'll get new women? There's rumors going that Asuka's been added to main card house shows. Does she debut the Raw after, or does she go to SmackDown? What do you think?
I don't think so yet. I think that she may get some experience on the main roster, kind of feel out the main roster crowd, just kind of get experience with the crowd overall. I don't see her losing the women's title in NXT anytime soon. Of course, that could change easily. I think that whichever of the 3 or 4 girls that are kind of flirting with the big push with Peyton Royce, Ember Moon, and Billie Kay, I think. To me, Ember Moon looks the more ready, looks the best out of all 3 of those. So I think that she might be the first person to beat Asuka and possibly get that NXT title, women's title. Thus pushing Asuka up to the main roster, but I don't see that happening anytime soon. But if it does happen, I would definitely like to see Asuka go to Raw help out that women's division a lot. Instead of having the big four and Dana Brooke kind of going in between there, it would really help them out for sure.
And so we'll go to James now. Just real quick, Sasha or Nia Jax?
It just appears to me that it's just gonna be Nia Jax. And is she ready for it? Is she ready to get her push? Is she ready for the main, being the main storyline of the women's division? That's controversial, and she's shown improvement over the past couple months, but she's still not the most technical wrestler. But I'm not sure. I think that Nia will win. I don't know.
All right. And again, I agree. Not to me, Nia wins. I really don't see the purpose of this match. We'll continue on in the women's division. Move on to the next match for the women's title. Bayley versus Charlotte. So 2 questions here. 1, who wins? And 2, if Charlotte wins, does she lose her WrestleMania streak, or her pay-per-view streak at WrestleMania? Whoever wants to go with that.
I guess I'll go ahead and go first. I think it's too predictable in my opinion. I think Charlotte does win it Sunday, and then does lose it at WrestleMania. To me, it would be smart booking. In a way, I'm still against Bayley even having the title really at this point. And I know that back in August, Sasha Banks won the title, her first reign on Raw, and she's done it twice since, which is I wouldn't say it's okay, but at least Sasha has had chances before. So in a way, it was a very surprising and a very positive thing for the company to see her win it on Raw. But with Bayley, it was her first shot at the women's title, and I hated the fact that they gave that away on live TV, having her first title reign and her very first shot on live TV. I think they should have waited till Mania. I think somehow that match should have ended in a disqualification and no count out. Then she gets a rematch at FASTLANE, loses, and then Charlotte goes into Mania with a fatal 4-way, and then having her end her pay-per-view streak. But I do see Charlotte winning, becoming a 5-time women's champion, and then having her streak end at WrestleMania.
All right, James. How do you feel?
I think that the match will end in a DQ at Fastlane. I think Sasha will interfere so that they don't have to end Charlotte's streak, because she technically wouldn't have lost. But Bayley can continue to be the champion heading into Mania, and it could set up the fatal 4-way for the weeks ahead going into Mania. Just giving Charlotte the title back, I don't know. It seems predictable, and I just don't think if WWE was smart, they wouldn't just give it back. They would find some way to enhance the story. But knowing the WWE, they might just give it to Charlotte. But I really think it'll be DQ at the end of that match.
And I could see that, but again, I think Charlotte wins. And then she wins at Fastlane, but loses it at Mania. but I think she loses it where she doesn't have to get pinned. That's, to me, how I think they'll keep her streak together. Because she'll claim, oh, I wasn't pinned, therefore my streak is still here because it wasn't a single match. I agree. As much as I love Bayley, I really think that her winning the title on a Raw just didn't get the response it would have if she won it at a WrestleMania event like she did in NXT. And I think they used that moment to... They wasted it, and I think they could have done a lot better with that.
I have a quick, just kind of like a little thing to throw in there. What are the odds, and this is, purely speculation, I'm fully a believer of the Fatal 4-Way Mania, but what's the chances of WWE kind of screwing up the booking in a way and having a Charlotte Dana Brooke feud, only because of the fact that what you saw on Raw, how it was supposed to be Dana Brooke and Charlotte against Sasha and Bayley, and then Charlotte kicked Dana to the side and got Nia.
Chose Nia.
I think that'd be the worst thing ever. But what do you think the odds of that may happening?
I mean, I can see it happening. I don't want it to happen. But it could. And I mean, they've been flirting with that whole idea, Dana turning on Charlotte or Charlotte turning on Dana, for a while now. So I mean, to me, Dana just doesn't have any purpose on the main roster. I think she's another one who was called up too early, and so could they do it? I don't know. Really hope they don't. So we'll go on to the cruiserweight match. Neville versus Jack Gallagher. I'll go ahead and say I want Gallagher to win, just because I like his character. And I'm always I always cheer for the faces. That's just the way I go, unless it's Dolph Ziggler and he turns heel. But I think Neville retains, and I think he retains while they give Gallagher to win. I think Aries gets involved. His little package tonight really sealed the deal on their WrestleMania feud. And so, what do you guys think?
I think this is kind of an underrated match in a way on the card. I'm just not really excited for FASTLANE. I don't know if it's just me being a true blue guy and not really. I mean, I watch Raw every week, but I don't know what the full detail of that is. I just think it's really weird how I'm really not that excited for FASTLANE, yet I'm always excited for SmackDown pay-per-views and shows. But I think this match definitely is a match of the night candidate. I think that Neville and Gallagher will put on a pretty good show. Gallagher's got a pretty good steam, pretty good following going on right now. It's good to see that for him, especially being a young guy. Kind of getting that good push up and going. But I fully believe that Neville will retain the title, and be anxious to see who his next feud would be going into Mania. And I hope that whoever he does face at Mania for the Cruiserweight title is not on the pre-show. I think that the Cruiserweights have done a good enough job talent-wise, and you can't blame the talent for it being the failure for the show. 205 live for the cruiserweights in general. It's the booking. But I can definitely see Neville retaining the title, and it'd be interesting to see what goes on in for Mania.
All right, and James, your prediction.
Well, first off, I'd like to say I might be one of the few people who are not intrigued with this cruiserweight division thing that they're trying to do. To me, maybe it's booking. I mean, there are some good people who are in the division, but I don't know. To me, every time the cruiserweights come on, it's just I'm not really that interested. But with that being said, Neville, I mean, he's gonna win. I like Gallagher. He's kind of intriguing. But I don't know. I feel like he's not. I don't know. He hasn't been pushed far enough to be a championship guy. I could be wrong. Again, I don't really watch a lot of the cruiserweight stuff, but that's, I don't know. But I think Neville does retain at FASTLANE.
All right, thank you for your opinion there. We're going to take a short break real quick. We'll pick up with the rest of our predictions when we come back here on the Concord Outlaws Wrestling Raw Recap Show, hosted by me, Randall Beaver. And welcome back, and this is the Raw Recap podcast, FASTLANE prediction here on Concord Outlaws Wrestling, and we're going to pick up with the next match we're going to talk about. And that one, Samoa Joe versus Sami Zayn. It hasn't really been announced, but it's really looking like it's going to be them, especially after tonight. So how do you feel that match is gonna we'll start with James. How do you feel about that match?
I think if booked correctly, this has the potential to be a 4-star match. I don't think. I mean, we've seen Samoa Joe versus Sami Zayn before on NXT. But for those who don't watch NXT, I think it will be something interesting to keep them. That keeps them into the show. Something that's good on the main card. Samoa Joe wins. It's just part of the gimmick that he's playing right now. But I think it'll be a good match.
Alright, cool. And Cody, how do you feel? What are your opinions on this match?
So this in Neville versus Gallagher is tied for me of who will win match of the night. I'm a little nervous about this match because I can see it going two ways. I can either see it going really well and actually putting on a great match between the two and having a great feud or a great story building up into the match, or I can see it being a squash for Joe. I'm hoping that it's not going to happen. I hope that they book it correctly, where they both get tell their stories in the ring, create that magic, and have a great match. I'm hoping that'll be the case. I'm expecting that. I do expect Joe to get the win, but I do think this one probably will win match of the night. I think Gallagher and Neville will be like the underrated match of the evening, but I do think that this match between Joe and Zayn, if it does happen and will be booked, feel like it will be match of the night for sure.
Of course, and I agree the same way. I think WWE, this is one of the feuds I think on Raw that has been booked correctly given the circumstances. It was supposed to be Joe versus Rollins, but the unfortunate events that led to Rollins being sidelined happened, and just throwing Sammy in there, I think they knew Sammy with prior history on NXT could handle Joe, and they have a lot of experience. I think Joe wins, but I will be cheering for Sammy just because, again, he's the sort of underdog. I think he has the talent. I think this year he'll grab the brass ring, so to speak, whether or not you believe in the brass ring of WWE. But I think it'll be a good match. I really hope it's not a squash, and I really hope that Triple H stays out of it, and the rest of the sort of mob or mafia he's trying to create stays out of it. It's a clean match. But I think there's a lot to look forward to. And so moving on.
Before we move on real quickly, I just want to give a good plug here for our great sponsor of the show, DDP Yoga. I don't know about you guys, I don't know about the people that are listening to this podcast. You never felt that kind of need after you do an exercise, activity, working out, playing ball with your buddies. You get that tight sensation, you get that very sore sensation. DDP Yoga is a great workout, a great regime that will definitely fix up all those muscle strains, relax those muscles, give it stronger. It has great breathing exercises, great stretching exercises, everything you could think of before, during, or after a workout. Definitely try out DDP Yoga. It's helped me become a better shape and a better physique person overall. Helped me stay in better conditioning, better strength, and help me just live a better and healthier lifestyle. So definitely want to give a shout out to DDP Yoga. Definitely, I know it's a sponsor for plenty of other wrestling shows and healthy and lifestyle tips shows as well. So I just want to give a good plug to shout out for DDP Yoga. Diamond Dallas Page is the man. Check out his stuff at ddpyoga.com. Definitely do have some promotions going on inside that shop, online only. And he does have some workshops in and around his performance center in Atlanta. And he does travel around the country as well as around the world to spread his teachings about DDP Yoga. So definitely check him out at ddpyoga.com.
All right, moving on. Of course, DDP, class of 2017 Hall of Fame.
Absolutely. Congratulations to him.
Which we will be live at. We plan on doing a live show from WrestleMania 33. So, but moving on. A match that is interesting and can be a 4-star match. Potentially 5-star if done correctly. Roman Reigns versus Braun Strowman. I really don't know how they're gonna book this. This is one of those matches where there's really nothing to gain for either one of these, but a lot to lose for both of them. Braun, they've pushed a lot, and so to have him lose, to me, would lose all that momentum. But Roman, sort of the baby face of Raw, WWE seems to always want to push him. And so what I see happening is setting up Roman Reigns' WrestleMania feud with Undertaker interfering in this match, because they need the full month leading to WrestleMania to build that. Because if they just throw the match together in a 2-week period, it's just not going to work out. So what do you guys think?
I am dreading this match completely. And it has nothing to do with Braun Strowman. It has everything to do with Roman Reigns. Being kind of on that roller coaster ride of Roman Reigns, kind of, not hating him but not really caring for him after he broke up with the Shield, to kind of liking him during that little mini run he had as world champion before 32. And then now on that tailspin of kind of with everybody else, mainly of booing him. I am one of those people that I probably know that it'll happen, but I do not want Roman Reigns versus Taker. Do I have a better opponent for Taker? Not really. So can't really complain if I don't have anything better. It's just the fear of that. The way WWE's been booking Roman Reigns for the past year and a half has been horrible. Not from a storyline perspective, but from a character's perspective. I feel like he should have turned heel a long time ago, but that's just the way the nature of the beast is, and that's how the way the business goes. I do expect this to be a fully physical match. I'm not going to tune out and critique everything about it. I do think that they have a potential for doing really well. Braun has come a long way from being just a guy that squashes people to creating some pretty decent storylines, to being pretty decent on the mic. Makes you kind of believe in him and want to watch him, see what he can do. So I think this will be a very physical match, a very intriguing matchup. Set the WrestleMania stages for both of them after FASTLANE. If we see Taker interfere in this match and helps kind of Roman lose in a way, and that sets up their WrestleMania feud, that's great. It's always nice seeing Taker back. I just do hope that this match does deliver on some fronts, and one way or another, I do expect this match to be fully all out war.
Of course, and to sort of go along with what you said with the whole Roman Reigns booking, I fear their WrestleMania match with Taker, because you've had the first 20 years of that streak, and then it ends with Brock, and then he sort of wins again with Bray. I just don't feel they've booked the Undertaker correctly at WrestleMania so in the last 3 years. So this will be interesting. James, what's your take on this?
So Adam from What Culture has a saying in his videos that Sheamus ruins everything. I feel the same way about Roman Reigns. To me, his character, I love the Shield. His Shield character was great because he wasn't the main star of the Shield. Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose were able to pick up where he lacked, which was his mic skills, his stuff like that. He's decent in the ring, but it's just like last week's Raw, Big Show versus Braun Strowman, and they actually put on a pretty decent main event, and Braun wins. You would think, okay, well, that's how the show ends. No, Roman Reigns comes out and ruins, in my opinion, he ruined that main event. He came out, there was no purpose for it. There was no building of a storyline to it. And so, face Roman is kind of boring. If he has what it takes to make it in the business, but not as a face. But as far as the match goes, I see Braun winning. He's going to, in my opinion, obliterate Roman Reigns. Roman will fight back and do a couple Superman punches or whatnot, but at the end, I think Braun will get over, and I think it'll actually be a pretty short match. That is kind of in the middle of the show, and with Braun picking up the victory.
Alright, and so now we've come to the last match. Now this is just my opinion. I'm not looking forward to this match at all. Neither of these competitors do I like at all. Owens is a good heel, but I don't think he should have had as long as a title run as he's had. Again, I don't think there's anyone to replace him as the way the storylines have played out, with Rollins being in other feuds and Reigns being in other feuds. I just don't think. Well, I think also it's booking where they made Owens look weak, and I think they did that. They've done that with Rollins as a as a heel, they made him look weak, and I think that was before. It was the Universal, before the brand split. And then there's Goldberg, which, if you watched his old days, if you're in it for the nostalgia, then this match is for you. Goldberg's return is for you. I don't necessarily see it as a bad thing. I just don't understand giving part-timers championship runs, which is the way I thought they were going to book it. But I see Jericho actually getting involved, causing a DQ, thinking he's hurting Owens, but actually realizing at the end he made him keep the title, and they do a title for title match at Mania. So that's how I see it. What do you guys think?
I see it as I think Chris Jericho does get involved, but I think he distracts Kevin Owens. And as much as it doesn't sound appealing to some fans, Goldberg gets the W, wins the title, goes to Mania to fight Lesnar for the title. And I think in a Mania, Kevin Owens versus Chris Jericho for the U.S. title. Now, is that the best booking? No, but I think that's how it's going to go. It'll be kind of cool to see Goldberg hold the Universal Championship. It brings nostalgia, but in the same way, it brings people to view the show that otherwise wouldn't view it, which I think is a good thing long term. I don't think Goldberg will have a super long run with the title, but it'll be interesting to see, does he lose it at Mania, or does he beat Brock again? I don't know. That'll be kind of intriguing, in my opinion.
Alright, and Cody, end the show off with your opinion on this match.
So, obviously, if people have never heard the podcast, they're not going to know this, but within the inner circle of our friends here at the Concord Wrestling, at Concord Outlaws Wrestling page and podcast, everybody knows I am the biggest WCW mark ever. Basically, born into the Monday Night Wars, bled WCW all throughout the whole time. So I grew up with the Goldberg, grew up with the story of Goldberg, grew up with the streak, grew up with the nostalgia behind him, winning the United States belt in April of '98 against Raven on a Nitro, and then just shortly a couple months later defeated Hogan for the world title in the Georgia Dome in '98, June or July of '98, 1-2. So I always have a soft spot for these WCW guys that return. My favorite's been Sting, so whenever he came back a couple years ago, that was big nostalgia for me. Seeing DDP come back every now and then, do some cameos for WWE, it's awesome. Obviously plugging him away. And then having now Goldberg coming back. I love the fact that he's back. I love seeing these older guys still in shape, still looking great. Obviously, they're going to be a little more gray, a little bit more older. So, while that being said, I am totally against everything there is to do with this match. It does not make sense to me to have this guy who has worked his butt off in Kevin Owens from the Indies, ROH, NXT, WWE, work as hard as he has to finally have this chance to have this Universal Championship. To lose it to a part-timer in what is being rumored in very short fashion. I understand the complex that Vince wants to make this match between Goldberg and Lesnar at Mania the biggest match it could possibly be, because it will be Goldberg versus Lesnar 3. I understand the implications of that. It may be their final match, or at least maybe Goldberg's final match. Maybe, I doubt it. It will be the final match in the feud. I don't understand why we have to be putting this on part-timers when they won't be showing up to Raw every single week. If that was the case, then they need to make a part-timers championship belt and just give it away and let people fight that every 5 months or something. That'd be much more entertaining than having a part-timer win the big world title belt. So I definitely hope Kevin Owens somehow miraculously comes away with the belt, whether it's a DQ by Jericho. There's like a 1% chance Kevin Owens wins cleanly over Goldberg, but I would much rather see a Goldberg versus Lesnar, make it a false count anywhere match, make it a no DQ. I don't care. I don't want to see Goldberg versus Lesnar for the title. I'd rather see Jericho versus Owens. I'd rather see Owens just about versus anybody. So, I love Goldberg, love the character, love the guy. Glad he's back. No, thank you for a championship run at all.
Alright, as we end the show, just two final things, and less than 2 minutes. Give what you think match of the night will be, and your overall prediction grade of the show. We'll start with James, then we'll go to Cody, and I'll end it.
So I think the match of the night for FASTLANE will be I don't know, that's a hard one. There's not much going on. I guess I would have to choose the Kevin Owens Goldberg match. Probably will be the best match of the night, just because I'm a huge Kevin Owens fan, and then the rest of the card isn't really that appealing to me, to be honest. And then I'd give, just off the top of my head, I'd probably give it a C rating. Again, the card isn't that appealing. It's kind of one of those filler pay-per-views that nobody really cares about. But it's the WWE, and they're prone to make surprises. If Finn Balor makes his return at Fastlane, it might be something good, some surprise. But if it's just straight through, a C rating would be what I would give the show.
Alright, and Cody?
So I fully expect Neville versus Gallagher to steal the show. I have a Smojo versus Zayn at a very close 2. Kind of go with James a little bit on the filler pay-per-view part. WWE is prone to surprises, so we may see a couple matches that do better than others. I do expect Finn Balor to make his return at Fastlane somehow, some way. I think it's going to be interesting. I think it'll be awesome. That might be the one thing that will really drive me to really watch this pay-per-view, is the sole purpose of probably a Finn Balor return, maybe a Taker return, something like that. So I'll be definitely keeping an eye on the returns for sure. Big important thing for me, even if I don't agree with the matches, even if I don't agree with whoever wins and who loses, I just hope everybody makes out healthy. This close to Mania, and you got a pay-per-view. Obviously, you want to do your best. Obviously, it's a pay-per-view, so you want to showcase the best and outdo everybody. I think the Charlotte Bayley match may actually have a good chance of on the show as well. But my biggest thing is just making sure that everybody stays healthy. As we head on the road to WrestleMania, this will be the last pay-per-view before Mania. So while I understand, as a performance perspective, you want to do your best and you want to go out and have the best match and put on the best show. At the same time, it's not worth missing the biggest show of the year. When that's going to be the show you want to put everything out, put your whole heart and soul into it. So overall, I'm probably going to give the show a B-. Maybe a little more confidence than others, but still kind of feel like it has that filler feel to it.
Alright, and so to me, I'm going to go Joe Zane as match of the night. I just think the chemistry between those two is off the charts. Joe is a really hard worker. Zane's a really hard worker. I think they'll steal the show. And I think that's where Finn Balor does make his return. I think after Joe wins the match, and in that way it could set up one of two ways. One, either Finn Balor versus Triple H if Rollins can't make it, but as of this Raw we just got done watching, it seems as if Rollins will be at WrestleMania. So I fully expect the Samoa Joe Finn Balor match on the WrestleMania card, and I think that's the best way to set it up. Overall grade, I'm gonna be really optimistic. I'm gonna say B+. At worst, A- is what I'm gonna give it. It is a filler pay-per-view, but I see a lot of good matches and what could be a lot of big surprises. With maybe Enzo winning, and I could see that happening, or Enzo and Cass. But with that said, we'll see at FASTLANE, where we will do another Raw podcast after, and so we'll see you after that. And
Thank you for listening to the Concord Outlaws Raw Recap Podcast, hosted by me, Randall Beaton. We have other shows throughout the week. Tuesday with our SmackDown recap, pay-per-view shows, as well as we will recap our thoughts on pay-per-views. If you want more information about us personally or our views on wrestling, please view our page at Concord Outlaws Wrestling on Facebook.com. Thanks again for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Signing out, I am the phenomenal show-off. This is Randall Beatley. Have a good day.